What is up, Timberwolves fans? I know it has been such a long time since a Hot Takes with Hatim podcast, but we're here and we have some thoughts. So the reason we have not seen a Hot Takes with Hatim podcast in a minute is because I got a new job. And that job might require me to move. I've been working very hard at that job, so it's been difficult. But I have been keeping up with all my Wolves content, and I have a lot of thoughts on our gameplay and whatnot. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today is mainly focused on the Ryan Saunders era of basketball and how it has come to an end, and we should all be very, very happy with that. Ryan Saunders' career as a Timberwolf, I honestly don't have many positives to talk about. I mean, this year we're 7-24 under him. Last year he had a full season minus COVID, but in that we had a 13-game losing streak, and we lost a game that no one had ever lost before, against the Kings when we were up by 20 with like 7 minutes to go. I remember I was at the building working for the Action Pack during that game. It was one of the most depressing nights. I think like 8,000 teams have been in that position. We're the only team to lose. Thankfully, the Bulls joined us this year on that. Maybe a little bit less embarrassing from the perspective you look at it. But Ryan Saunders, from what we saw over the last like 2 years, nothing improved. Like, defense was horrendous, whether it was players having to switch or whether it was protecting the paint. Like, it was terrible. Teams could score on us in so many ways. Only in mere moments did specific players step up or whatnot, but we never ever saw this group ever have some sort of toughness on the defensive end, and it clearly showed. And one thing I loved about Ryan Saunders was he was really transparent with the media, and he was transparent with us with letting us know what he was doing. So he always talked about on offense that every person has to contribute. Every person should be ready to shoot. All this sort of stuff. And yeah, sometimes our offense with Saunders really did look good and it did flourish. But to be honest, like, roles matter. Like, every NBA team, roles matter. Every championship team, every playoff team, roles matter. All 5 people do not get the same equal amount of opportunity to make offensive plays. And Saunders was very by the book, by his analytics, and he had a system and he wanted to go with it, but he never digressed from it. And this was frustrating to watch as a fan because you could see a train wreck coming from a mile away, from 10 minutes before it was even going to happen. You could see exactly what was going to happen. Players like Layman, Nas, I know he plays well, Vando, even, like, these sorts of things, like, I don't know, I could go on about Culver, but they are good at specific things, and we need to make sure they're great at those specific things instead of trying to let them do whatever they want. I think in specific, like, I hated that Cat just became one of the 5. There was no focal point in Cat, which we clearly needed to use more often throughout these last couple seasons. Make him more of a focal point, and have a really good balance between him being force-fed and him just spreading the floor. So yeah, like, that was what I noticed about Saunders' career as a Wolf. It was just disappointing offense and defense, and like we never once saw him digress from this or make a big decision or adapt in his gameplay. He just was so committed to making sure that the way he thought it out as far as the analytics, along with the style he wanted to play, incorporated with what Gerson Rosas wanted to do, he stuck to that. And I don't think that makes a good coach. I think you have to be adaptable. You have to be changing. You have to be willing to do different things. He seems to always be trying different rotations too often. Like, yo, homie, this is a game. Like, we have to win this NBA game. Everyone in the NBA says it, players and coaches. They say winning one NBA game is a very difficult job. And, like, sometimes I got pretty frustrated with his lax rotations, his letting people play a little too long. Rubio having the ball way too much, even in the fourth quarter. Like, there were a lot of these things that he let happen continually. It seemed like players were never held accountable. Leaders were never held accountable. It seems like he was always trying to coach out of positivity. Like, hey, it's okay. We'll get him. It's okay. We'll get him. Like, no, like, call the crap out when it's there. And I never saw him do that in any press conference. Nothing. He never said he was angry, hurt, all these sorts of things. He was always positive, which I think is a really good trait. But I don't think it ever works with this team. And you have to find ways to really get under people's skin to light a fire instead of trying to always be positive. But I credited him for trying this style, trying this by the book, all this sort of stuff. But his execution was really poor. And I don't think I ever once saw a complete game with him. The only time I'll say I saw a complete game from start to finish was probably that Clipper game when everyone got traded. But like this season's journey with Saunders, just to elaborate, like when we had Cat, we had close games, but we still looked pretty unimpressive. Like that Memphis game really sticks out to me early on with him and D'Lo, how he just let that one get away. And we just had close games, Pistons, Utah, until Cat got hurt. And when Cat got hurt, it was alarming because we really sucked, getting blown up by 20 after 20, whether it was good team or bad team. And I had told my friends, like, yo, this is a new team, youngest team in the league, only one or two vets. Like, it's fine. Like, these growing pains happen. But they were right. Like, we had no right to be clapped early on in the season that badly for, like, a 10 to 15 game stretch with D'Lo. And now that I've seen this roster more and more with the roster that we've had, we had no right to have had that happen. And in the last 10-ish games or so, we've seen him use a little bit of the newer guys, but now the struggle is the same as what our struggles were last year. We're having close games, but we can't close them out. We can't finish them out. That consistent problem that we're seeing this year to last year with Saunders is one that it's very warranted for him to be gone. I don't think I'm saying anything shocking there. I'm sure people watching this are going to be like, yeah, we understand, but I want to clarify it that we saw the same consistent problems this year from last year, and it really sucks because every Timberwolves fan, maybe NBA fan at large, was really rooting for him to follow in his father's footsteps to complete the vision that his father had for him. So it's just kind of like that's probably something that I'm really sad and bummed about because we were all rooting for him. Like with Thibs, we were definitely not rooting for him. We hated him no matter what the situation. But with Saunders, we were always rooting for him. Even when we were like, get this kid out of here, we're still rooting for him because he's our guy. Like that's our guy. And some of the positives about him, since I've talked a lot about the reasons he should be gone, I think how he instilled a team culture with us was important. And like he's gonna be the first domino that falls, like the first fallen soldier, because the team culture that he instilled in Minnesota was huge. Like these players carrying that forward is going to be massive. He created a culture within the staff, the players, the management that was familial. He has a lot of different things he said about being a family throughout this entire process. And I think he's done a really, really good job of establishing and creating culture. And I think that one day if we're successful because of it, he should get some credit for that. So now we have our new coach, Chris Finch, 24 years of experience. Now that is a breath of fresh air from Ryan Saunders' like minimal and youthful coaching career. He's coached in Houston, Denver, New Orleans, and the Raptors. So I'm sure a lot of people that looked at his resume are thinking the same thing as I am. Pascal Siakam, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic before he was an all-star, the Harden years in Houston. He's Gerson Rosas' boy. He has international experience, G League experience. So he clearly has the resume for this. I mean, similar to Nick Nurse, who has a similar resume, international, G League, some NBA. I mean, I don't know how much NBA experience he has. Maybe some college too. But yeah, Chris Finch. I mean, he has it all. I don't really know much about him. I listened to his press conference where he talked about how he wants to have some rules that we live by, and he wants the Wolves to play fast and go at it. So I like hearing that because something with Saunders was the rules that he had in play definitely weren't the right ones. So I think that's something that he's going to have to show us, Chris Finch is. And yeah, like I'm excited. I'm pretty excited for Chris Finch. I mean, yeah, I don't really know what to expect. We don't know much of him. I'm hoping that the big men and the high paced the transitions he coached Drew Holiday to. I just really hope he's able to bring it all together with us, and we have a quality squad here. And that'll transition me to my point about like Rosas. So there's been a little bit of doubt on Rosas as of late, as far as the pick next year that we have top three protected that might go to the Golden State Warriors, because we got D'Lo in that trade, and there peep some there's it's been a long day, but there's been some sort of wow, like the next draft class is about to be amazing, and because we're gonna miss out on it, Rosas made a bad move by bringing D'Lo in. But I don't care about any of that, because like what Rosas did, he was also a part of the culture change. He got rid of those bad Thibs days early on where we had like a 6-7 game losing streak. He got rid of Thibs. He really adapted to us being in 2020, maybe a future style offense, 3-point shooting, all this sort of stuff. Obviously, like same thing with him. He didn't make any sort of emphasis on defense, and it's kind of been a problem. But I will say personally, I think that the players Rosas has brought in and the players he's drafted has been pretty impressive. I think Okogie was a Thibodeau draft, but everyone after that, Jarrett Culver, Naz Reid, Jared Vanderbilt from a trade, Malik Beasley from a trade, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Jordan McLaughlin, just a lot of these guys. Jalen Noel even I think has some potential. We have a really good bench mob that like Rosas has given us, like a like energetic, athletic players that he's given us, and to tie that in with our like talent and Cat and D'Lo, I think any good coach would be able to do a great job with his team. So I'm like really looking forward to seeing what Finch can do. Again, just like in Ryan Saunders' year, we'll see minimal changes, adaptations to what we currently have, but until this coach gets a full training camp, a full summer league, we won't see exactly what he's made up of. So I'm not going to be too critical of him. But if we see changes early on, that will make me quite excited about this guy. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this guy. I think that with Rosas he turned it around, but the most important thing is now he's gotta get some tough, gritty vets for us, because our team shows a lack of experience. It shows, and a lack of toughness and intensity. And that's, I think, this final step for Rosas is bringing those guys in. Those are the things we have to see from Rosas. We have to see adaptation from the offense, a toughness about defense, and like our offense needs to show some discipline. Like when we get sloppy, when we can't execute plays, when people are doing their own thing, like no, we have to be on the same page. So I'm curious to see what he brings. And yeah, like really, I don't know what to expect. I'm always excited about new Wolves moves. It's a depressing time as a Wolves fan. This is definitely the lowest. I think even lower, debatably, than when KG left and we were in those dark years. I think this might be a little lower, but to new beginnings. And I really hope that whatever next podcast I do whenever I get some time will be about the fact that things have turned around and we see something special brewing. So yeah, like comment, like, share, subscribe, plug my video if you can, because I want to hear everyone's thoughts, because am I wrong? Like, is there anything I'm saying wrong? Like, I think the deficiencies I saw are huge, and I'm glad Saunders is out. We need some new blood in there. So yeah, I'm excited. We play tomorrow. This is being recorded 24 hours after my Saunders thoughts. So I really let him sink in before I gave him my all. And Saunders, thank you for what you gave to this organization. I think there were plenty of bright spots that if other people aren't gonna give you enough credit, I'll give you credit. Thank you for being the first step in hopefully many steps of a successful organization. Peace out, Wolves fans, and hang in there. We got a long season to go. Hang in there.